Hello and welcome to your yoga therapy for injuries. So we've done our first session and the injuries are improving. A few weeks have gone by and perhaps you're feeling a little bit more mobile and able to do a few more things. So we'll follow the basic concepts of looking after the joints, getting blood flow through the body, cleansing out the lymphatic system and all the good things that happen when we have gentle, mindful movement. Also good for digestion, of course, good for balance, and even our psychological outlook on life. So let's just begin with a little bit of arm movements. So we'll start with the palm facing forward, inhale, and then exhale, the palms just face back in. Inhale, palms face forward. Let that movement translate up the arm into the shoulder. Exhale, palms face in. Inhale, palms forward, and you can see my shoulders roll back a little. Exhale, palms face in, and maybe even keep going around so those shoulders roll forward. Inhale, chest is open, shoulders back, shoulder blades a little bit into the spine and down the back. Shoulder blades again. And then exhale, they go the opposite way. Moving the hand and wrist moves the elbow, which moves the shoulder, which moves the chest and ribs. So simple. Okay. From there, we're going to inhale. The back of the hands will lead. So palms are still facing into the side body. And then exhale, palms come down. Inhale. So lovely soft arms, and you're thinking of them as not being a straight line or a hard line, but actually there's kind of a roundness in the movement of the upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrist and hand. It's almost like the arms are round objects, cylindrical, with a little twist in them. So you can really feel that. So we like to think of these as lovely butterfly arms. I think my top kind of helps it look quite butterfly-y. Last one, inhale and exhale. Good. Just looking down at the feet, we're just lengthening the back of the spine. What we're doing is we're keeping the chest upright. Even though the chin goes down to the chest, almost try to lift your chest up to your chin. Often the habit is we look down and we slump a bit. So we're going to have shoulders back, chest high, lift the chest up to the chin almost. You might feel a stretch down the back of the body. And then look forward as you inhale, exhale, lift the chest below the chin. Don't over breathe. If ever there is an instruction to breathe, just check that it suits your need. We don't need to gulp in air at all. The body knows how much air it needs. I just bring attention to it because it can actually help to be conscious of when we're breathing in and when we're breathing out. Alright, from there, we'll lower the chin, roll around towards the right shoulder, back across the chest and to the left. So you remember this from our seated practice. This time we're actually going to lift a little the nose and the chin and feel a little bit more of a stretch each side. On that side of the neck, away from the way we're turning. Sometimes you even feel a slight pull into the inner ear, like the inner ear is stretching a little more wide. Once that's done, inhale and look forward. Shoulder rolls are always a good idea. Forward and up, back and down, and then going the other way. Again, let the arm respond to those shoulder rolls in a twisty, twizzly kind of a way, because they're not straight. They're quite curvy. We want to exaggerate that and enjoy it. Great. So we'll do a few things for the knees and the ankles. So imagine your ankles are very soft and squidgy, and just bend the knees a few times. Really feeling that the ankle, it's a joint. There's something happening in there that's soft and comfortable. Don't let it feel stuck or hard, particularly the front of the ankle. Like there's an open space. Good. And now we're going to step 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. I'll show you the side view. So it might be easier to step back than forward. Give that a go. Front knees bent. And we're just going to let the back of the hands lead forward so the fingers point down. And then the palms face up and pull back towards the waist. Back of the hands lead forward, palms face up. You'll notice as the hands go forward, the knee bends. And as the palms face up, they pull back. And so does the front toe. So this can be a challenge for the balance. So please feel free to keep that toe down if you're not quite ready to include balance. Go a pace that suits you. And then step up, other foot back, get balanced, soft wrists, soft fingers. Only lift the front toe if it's comfortable. You'll also notice that what I'm doing as I lift that front toe is I'm bending the back knee and almost sitting down. That is also an advanced version. So if you really feel like to get the hip flexed and the knee bent is too much, just do a smaller movement and don't bend the back knee. Otherwise, of course, you can. Lovely. I'm going to show you another way. So step up. We'll go again to the other side. Stepping back. So what we'll do is the arms will actually come around the side. Palms face up, pull back. Lead with the back of the hands, but come around and in. Around and in. So that might really come right into the upper back as well, that feeling of movement. And coming up, change, other foot back, get the balance, around and in. Straightening the front knee, possibly lifting the front toes, bending, straightening. And only bend into that back knee as much as you feel is safe, comfortable, good. Go at a pace that suits you. I'm probably going a bit fast. Feel free to slow it down. Last one. And stand up. Check your balance feels good. Feet underneath you. Pelvis over feet. Shoulders over pelvis. Head above belly. Belly sinking down through feet. Feel really grounded into the pelvis and the feet, a sense of earth, that sort of heaviness and denseness. As you inhale, light arms go up, but the legs don't lose their density. So feet heavy, grounded, upper body light, mobile. One more of these. As the hands go up, the mind goes down into the feet. That's lovely. And release. We're going to check how those hips are feeling. So just a little bit of a movement of the hips into one side and then the other side. Your movement may be less than mine depending on your injuries. So the client that I've made this video for, in terms of the legs, it's mostly bruising as opposed to actually broken bones. The one break was in the arm, so there's slight adjustments to the arm. And just some internal injuries that have healed really well, so that's great news. I hope your healing journey is going well too. If you can find a local yoga therapist to guide you through, then that's really wonderful. And coming back to centre. So we're going to come onto the floor. We're going to look at the pelvis a little bit using the ground to support us, because when we are injured we can sit down a lot and there tends to be some slumping and then all of this area gets quite tight. So come to the floor. This is a lovely position to be in. And if your injuries are getting good and you're going back to work or out and about shopping and other activities, When you come home, I recommend you have a pre-made resting place, a nice clean rug, a clear space, where you can lie on your back with your knees bent up. And just breathe. If you are so fortunate as to have a couch, you can rest the lower leg on the chair or couch, and that's even more restorative and nourishing for the body. Please don't hold them up like this because that's hard work. Let's begin with some pelvic rocks. We're going to take the pelvis and tilt it forward, and then we're going to tilt it back. When we forward tilt, the belly stretches and the lower back arches away from the floor. When we backward tilt, the lower back is flat to the floor, and the tummy has a feeling of being a little bit contained. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Continue with forward and backward tilts, taking your mind into the sensations that are felt. You may begin with the sensation in the lower back and back of the pelvis. The sensation in the hip joints themselves, left and right sides of the pelvis. The sensation in the groin. The connection of the legs to the movement, legs and feet, even ankles. For instance, one movement might feel the heels are drawing towards the bottom, another movement might feel the heels are pushing towards the toes. That kind of awareness of the lower body. And finally, if you could just be aware of the entire length of your spine being affected by this tilt from tailbone to base of the skull. So that as the pelvis tilts forward, notice what happens to the chin compared to when the pelvis tilts back. So you're allowing the entire spine to be moved by what's happening in the bottom end of the spine. A wave of movement moves up to the top. So it's the same as what we're doing when we're seated on the chair. So the next bit's pretty special. We're going to think of the back of our pelvis. So imagine this is the pelvis, this is the back of the pelvis, as a clock face. So the bottom tip is the tailbone, and that would be 6 o'clock on the clock, and the top is the 12 o'clock on a clock. And then you go around to the left side, which is 3 o'clock through 6. The right side of the pelvis would be 9 o'clock before you make your way up to 12. So in your mind, close your eyes and just feel the back of the pelvis. The top would be 12, the bottom would be 6, the left would be 3 o'clock, and the right would be 9 o'clock. So make that little clock and just go clockwise in your mind around that. We were going from 6 o'clock, where the weight's going down into the tailbone, to 12 o'clock already. So we've already mapped that out. But what we'll do now is we'll start going from 12 o'clock at the top, around to 3 o'clock, left side, then down to 6, from 6 up to 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, guided by my voice, from 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, and 9 to 12. From 12, let's go down to 6, straight down, and straight back up to 12, and then to a neutral position. Take a breath. Let it all settle. So if we were to go back up to 12 and move down to 3, I want you to notice that there's just a little bit of movement in my knees. They haven't stayed exactly straight, but they certainly haven't moved heaps. Okay, so it's just the tiniest amount of movement in the thighs and knees as you go around. So I'm going all the way around now, and that's the maximum amount of movement that I would do in my legs. And let's go the other way. So we're in 12 o'clock. Can we go anti-clockwise from 12 to 9, 9 to 6, 6 to 3, 3 to 12, 12 to 9, really get into 9, 9 to 6, rest in 6, 6 to 3, 3 to 12. And you can use this imagery almost like sand drizzling down an hourglass, and that bottom part of the hourglass fills up with weight and sand. So let's go anti-clockwise again, from 12 to 9. There's the initial movement, but then a little bit more trickling of that final weight down into 9. And then 9 to 6. Perhaps the sand goes quickly down, but then there's a little bit more. Just give it time to all settle. 6 to 3, the left side of the sacrum, and 3 to 12. Now you might be noticing as you go around anti-clockwise that in fact our core strength is being called upon in very nuanced ways in order to have this mobility of the pelvic bowl and spine, the sacrum, the back of that pelvic bowl. It's very good for the hips, it's good for digestion. So we're doing some lovely things in a really happy and easy way. One more little roundabout, whatever way you wish. And we'll come back to a neutral pelvis and take a breath. Rest. Relax the whole face. The cheeks, the jaw, the mouth and tongue. Relax the forehead and the eyebrows. Even the hairline, scalp, back of the neck, inner ear, outer ear. Let the whole face and head feel serene. Very gently open the eyes, keeping the serenity in the face. And we're just going to do a little bit more movement in the hips. So this time arms are wide. We'll take the knees all the way to one side and the face turns the other way. A breath. Inhale to center and all the way the other side. Face turns opposite way. A breath. And you can go from side to side at a pace that suits you. Generally, when the body's not warmed up, we do smaller movements more frequently rather than sort of yank the body into one intense movement and stay there. So if you feel you just prefer a more flowing movement that's not so intense, it would be knees side to side, but not all the way. I think it's a lovely thing, especially if you've got some nice classical music in the background. Or stay and breathe. Stay. Other side and breathe. To help this outer hip area loosen up, one ankle over the knee. And again, side to side, and you'll feel straight away a little bit more stretch. If it's coming strongly into the lower back, please less movement. Go less to the side and stay more within a narrower range. If it feels good, the foot can go all the way to the floor and stay there for a breath. Sometimes I use my hand to hold on to the ankle and place the foot where it's most enjoying the stretch. Ankle over knee, if you like, a little bit of a squeeze in towards the body and then release down and change sides. So in yoga, and particularly yoga therapy, where we're quite attentive, we're not looking to stretch the body. Stretching itself is not innately a good thing. Flexibility is not innately a good thing. Mobility of joints is a wonderful thing, but that's very different to stretching, which tends to make bands of muscles even longer.
if you just focus on mobility of the joints and health of the joints, you're probably doing yourself much better service. Particularly if you're already quite a mobile person, avoid stretching for the sake of stretching. We'll talk more about that if you wish. So, feet on the mat and you come back. Oh, actually, let's finish with that little, just into the hip joint there. Nothing too intense, you don't need to stay there, you don't need to force anything. Another one that's good, if you do come home and do legs on the couch, is just to place that ankle over and rest like that as well. Again, no need to go all intense about it. This is good enough. Or wide legs. Oh, that's so lovely for the pelvis. Especially when you're supported by a wall or something. It's like, I think we've done a great job. Come up slowly to sitting and make your way to standing. So it can be lovely just to come to standing to feel how you feel. If you feel a little freer in the body, a little bit more energy. It's just so that you finish the session feeling really whole and complete and really satisfied. Make any movement that you wish, any expression that really suits your needs in this moment. I think for me it's the forward and backward movement. I really enjoyed that. But to see what it is for you. It could be feeling into the hips and the side body that you did. It could be feeling into the sacrum. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you healing, wellness, health, and maybe a bit of sunshine.